Hey guys, I needed to make another episode. The president is just tearing our country apart. Right? Guys, it's actually not true. He sucks. Don't get me wrong. He sucks. He sucks. And I'm not defending him at all, but he's not tearing this country apart. He's just making it look like he is. Because he's actually not getting anywhere near as much done as it looks like he is. And that's because none of us understand how the government works. Well, at least I didn't. I'm so glad civics was a course I never even had an option to take back in public school, and I'm so thankful you're defunding the Department of Education, Donald. But are you really? Because you only ever actually made an executive order to close the Department of Education. But you see, guys, that's where the whole checks and balances things that we always heard about actually comes in. And I'm not talking about in the theoretical sense, like you should, how it should happen, and that's how it should work. I'm saying this is exactly what's been happening, and this is exactly how it's been working. So boom, all right. An executive order is like the most powerful ultimate move that the president has to impact our daily lives. He can sign a piece of paper in executive order that tells all of his employees, all the people that work at the federal agencies like Homeland Security, Justice, Commerce, Ag, Defense, you name it, all of them. They all work for their bosses who work for their bosses who work for their bosses who work for the president. And his ultimate move is to tell all of is what to do, saying, I want you to focus on this and not on that, get this done. So all of those departments start now working on what his executive orders asked them to do, like the ICE raids, federal agency, these bomb-ass tariffs, because I love paying more, federal agencies, even the mass firings across the government. They're all federal workers, his employees, federal agencies. Everything that has effectively happened so far is through executive order and executive order alone, run through his cronies, federal agencies. He has not gotten one law passed so far in this entire time, nothing under the legislative branch. The laws, the powerful stuff, taxes, spending, what's illegal, war declarations, all the strength of government, that's Congress, the legislative branch. They're the rock, and they can't get nothing done. So we're moving past the rock. Rock doesn't matter. Rock's 80 years old, it ain't moving. Forget him. What matters is the judiciary, the scissors. This is the Supreme and federal courts, made up of approximately between 800 and 1,700 active practicing federal judges at any given time. Remember that number, it's important. Because this little pump has signed. Ain't no way in hell he written any of these. He'd have to think too hard and his battery might die. But he signed these 150 different directives to all his little paper underlings, and they all suck. They either made things more expensive or more dangerous or more unfair or more poorly thought out, including this one. There's only good one, and it's still not going to happen like when it didn't happen in his first term because it's incredibly disruptive and there's no plan for how to implement any of it. So even the good idea is going to get struck down until you make a good plan. Then maybe you can make a law with it, but you should probably follow any of the procedures and norms that were established before you got there, Danielle. But then you'd have to work, and I know you think that's for poor people. By the way, please keep this interplay in mind in case he ever turns around and starts attacking judges for not helping America or having their own agenda. Because remember that number from before? Yeah, there's a lot more judges than there are executive orders, and all of those judges went to law school. So Scissors is cutting paper right now. Scissors is dogging paper right now. Scissors went to law school, and paper had burn spurs and a rich daddy. So did a lot of scissors when they applied themselves. So it's really obvious to any of them that all of these orders were poorly thought through in the first place and that they're going to harm a massive amount of people. So they all got challenged in court, as they should, sue. And then the federal scissors came through and unconstitutional, baby, as they should. They might have the power to make these executive order decisions, but we have the power to check him. There have been over 200 lawsuits so far, and it's fair to assume many of them will strike down these idiotic executive orders. ICE raids, lawsuit. Tariffs, lawsuit. Federal firings, lawsuit. All of these might get overturned because of how little work went into the strategy of making these decisions in the first place. Everything Frumpy Dumpy's orders have actually accomplished is immediately being undone, and he may never have any long-standing impact, even after all of this craziness that he's been putting us through. All of this stress, all of these distractions, empty. All his legacy will ever have been is what he was able to get the federal agencies to do in that little bit of time between executive order signing and when we could sue him back into his office. That's why him and ICE rushed those deportees off to El Salvador when we first started hearing about the flights to CICOT, because he was scared of the scissors. He know he's going to lose to the scissors. We can win this, guys. We can beat this paper dumbass with the scissors. Shut his ass up. Tuck him into Betty Bye. Because in his first 100 days, he's been hitting plungers everywhere. We got fireworks, TNT about to go off if we let any of these cartoonishly long wicks actually hit their payload. But we got the scissors. We just need to keep using them.